Opening scene. Elijah takes a blowtorch and burns his college diploma, leaving it in ashes. Producer's note: we will be unable to film this opening scene due to the lack of someone to lend us a blowtorch and a safe and legal area to perform the burning. Now, I'm sure that you've guessed that this is a video dissing English programs, maybe even academic institutions at large. But before we get into all that, I want to tell you a bit about myself. First, I just want to be clear. I'm not some poor, debt-ridden, disillusioned schmuck who's just angry he can't get a good job. I'm doing okay financially, and I feel pretty good about my future career prospects. In theory, I'm a big fan of English programs. I love dusty old books, the obscure mechanics of language, and did I mention big old books by dead people? I absolutely love that stuff. I have an issue, however, with the way that modern English programs, and really all of humanities in general, is taught and thought about today. We're about to offend a lot of academics, pseudo-intellectuals, and dare I say, people who go on Reddit. There are two main issues I have with modern humanities. The first has to do with science.
Science.
Science is probably the most well-respected field of knowledge in existence today. To put my dearly earned degree to good use, we could say it has good ethos, or reputation and character. And why is that? Well, what has provided us with the wonders of the modern world? What has increasingly taken care of our every need, with ever greater convenience and speed? What has eliminated dozens of diseases and ailments and effectively removed mortality from our everyday experience? What has provided us with an endless stream of dopamine-laden entertainment to distract us from the questions our souls beg us to answer? The answer is science. Science has done a lot for us. In return, we give science a lot of respect and trust. Now here's the part where the humanities come in. Because science is so well loved, all the other fields of knowledge want a little piece of that love and trust and respect that the sciences get. But there are a couple differences between the humanities and the sciences. Let's look at the sciences on one hand. One of the big aspects of science is that it progresses in a linear fashion. Technologies can get more advanced. Medicines can cure more diseases. Theories can better model reality. Part of this is because science has an end goal, which I sort of mentioned earlier, and it's to make life safer, easier, and more comfortable. Almost all the hard sciences are directed towards this goal, and you can measure how far science or technology has progressed by measuring what is closer and what's further away from this goal. Now, the goal of humanities is not quite as clear. If you ask an English professor or some other professor in the humanities, you're likely to get different answers from different people. And in part because of this lack of a clear goal, humanities doesn't have the kind of measurable progression that science does. Now, if you've had the misfortune of being involved in modern humanities, you're probably thinking, well, that's the point. Sciences are quantitative, humanities is qualitative. There shouldn't be a tangible, measurable progress of humanities. And that is exactly the point. One of the main issues with modern humanities is that they have this idea of linear progression as if they're a science. In one of my film classes, our professor straight up said that certain ideas and certain ways of thinking about film were outdated. For science, saying something like this makes sense because you can measure what's more outdated and what's less outdated by what's closer to their goal, what technology is more advanced, what medicine cures diseases better, what theories better model reality. But in humanities, there's no reason for something to be outdated or not outdated. There's no criteria for measuring what's outdated and what isn't. All that it really means is that that particular idea isn't popular in academic circles at this moment in time. Humanities professors want that scientific feel, so they make certain ideas outdated as if they're making some kind of progress. Let me give you another example of how the humanities try to be like the sciences. So the university I went to is what's called a research university, meaning that all the professors had to be publishing original research in academic journals on a regular basis, even the humanities professors. For science, this more or less makes sense. It does cause some issues with replication of experiments, but that's a different topic. You want your scientists to be on the cutting edge of their field, the closest to their goal with the most advanced theories, technology, and medicine. But for scholars in the field of humanities, this doesn't make sense. When it comes down to it, you're studying books, films, art, even abstract ideas, and there's only so much you can talk about. Stories and art haven't changed that much over the course of human history, no matter how experimental modern stuff gets. This is what drives humanities into hyper-specific, esoteric topics that nobody cares about. They have to keep up this facade of being a science. They have to keep publishing new and original research, and it just becomes an unintelligible series of hot takes. It's how you, for instance, get a whole page just to explain documentaries aren't always true. There is a degree of self-awareness about how humanities operates. In an article published in the Scientific American, one of my personal favorite publications, John Horgan describes the humanities as giving you uncertainty, doubt, and skepticism. The humanities are subversive. They undermine all claims of authorities, whether political, religious, or scientific. The humanities are more about questions than answers. So basically, it's supposed to instill in you a sense of paranoid schizophrenia and doubt about the very nature of reality. Now, I'm not saying that doubt or skepticism are a bad thing. They're not. But it's not something a whole field is supposed to be about. And it kind of implies that doubt and skepticism aren't a big part of science, when in reality, they're a huge part of science. In my opinion, the dichotomy between science and humanities shouldn't be truth versus doubt, but rather concrete, measurable truths about the natural world versus abstract truths about life and the human experience. Higher thought and scholarship should be about pursuing truth, not just an endless series of deconstructions. But the way it currently works, humanities doesn't talk about things that relate to actual human experience. If you're analyzing a work in humanities, whether it's a film, a book, or a philosophy, you have to interpret it through some special lens, whether that's Freudian interpretation, intersectional Marxism, or something that makes more sense, like auteur theory. But let's be real. How often have you woken up in the morning and thought, geez, today auteur theory is going to be a big part of my day? Ultimately, science has actual impact and meaning in people's everyday lives. Humanities, as it stands now, can't say the same. Sure, it's technically about human experience, but it's in such an esoteric, detached way that it's really disconnected from the lives of ordinary people. And as much as I'm sure a lot of academics would hate to hear it, no modern humanities scholarship is helping anyone to live a better life. Well, Mr. Internet Stranger, what's your opinion? Thank you so much for asking. Here's what I think. Humanities needs to abandon this idea of scientific progress and embrace a sense of timelessness. Human nature has not changed in thousands of years. People's daily struggles are more or less some of the same kinds of things that people have always dealt with. Art can go through phases, but at its core, it more or less remains the same. And it also needs to change the way that works of art, literature, and philosophy are discussed and talked about. The highfalutin theories of post-structuralism and all of that bunch need to be abandoned. This might reveal to people that, more or less, you're all just writing glorified book reviews, but you'll be finally being honest about it. Here are the ways I propose we talk about works and make it relatable to the lives of actual people. Firstly, analysis based on craft. If you're an artist or a writer or a filmmaker, look at a work through the lens of what makes it successful, why does it work, what makes it appealing. Look at the formal traits of it to help you build your own craft. Second, analysis based on inherent value. What makes a great work great? If a work is well known or successful, why is it like that? Third, analysis as a depiction of human experience. Basically, what does a work tell us about the nature of people? What does it tell us about the nature of God, about any of those big questions that science can't answer for you? How can those answers be found through this work? And fourth, analysis based on history. What does the work tell us about the time period in which it was written or made? So those are my takes. Ultimately, these are just kind of some of the things that I thought about while earning my degree. And I kind of think of this as my main thesis project. If you're an academic who I've just thrown into an existential crisis, I do apologize. And if you want to hear more of my pretentious hot takes, consider helping my channel grow by inventing a new kind of fire for me, or helping me to build some kind of underwater fortress. Those are the things that this channel really needs to grow and for my videos to be successful. So if you're willing to do that, thank you so much and have a great day.